The long-running and engrossing nature of Grey's Anatomy is due to its portrayal of complex human characters who are prone to mistakes. This authenticity fuels the ongoing drama that envelops Grey Sloan Memorial Hospital, filled with romantic entanglements, professional feuds, and a dark humor that occasionally pokes fun at the characters. However, at times, Grey's can be puzzling. In my opinion, one of the most perplexing plot lines unfolded after the significant season 8 plane crash incident, which had a profound influence on Grey's Anatomy as a whole. After enduring a devastating plane crash deep within the woods, the 5 individuals known as the Seattle Grace Five, Meredith, Christina, Derek, Arizona, and Mark Sloan, miraculously survived. The catastrophe claimed the life of Lexi Gray, Meredith's younger sister, and ultimately led to the demise of Mark Sloan when he slipped into a coma from his injuries and never regained consciousness. Struggling to comprehend why such a tragedy had befallen them, the survivors chose to take legal action against the hospital for putting them on the plane in the first instance. They were awarded an astonishing sum of money almost instantly, but soon encountered difficulties when the insurance companies declined to pay out the money, citing some unknown liability for the plane crash. The journey to Boise Hospital became a nightmare. Season 8, episode 24 is one of Grey's Anatomy's biggest season 8, episode 24 flight. Initially planned as a straightforward journey, the team found themselves in an unexpected predicament when the plane hired by Bayview Aeronautics crashed in a forest, leaving them stranded for several days. This harrowing experience was compounded by the loss of Lexi during the crash. Meredith, understandably heartbroken, mourned the fact that she hadn't had a chance to bid farewell to her friend. The survivors spent their time waiting for rescue, battling hunger, cold, and wildlife attracted to Lexi's remains. Following the crash and their subsequent rescue, the Seattle Five found themselves burdened not only with rebuilding their lives, but also adapting to their altered circumstances. Christina remained silent due to the trauma and shock. Arizona lost her leg when infection took hold, which further complicated matters. Derek Shepard was forced to confront losing her best friend as Mark remained unresponsive, and Meredith had to learn to live without Lexi. It's easy to empathize with their feelings of despair, rage, and disorientation. So it seemed logical that they would react in the way they did next. However, it appears they were aiming their efforts at the wrong source. Initially, the Seattle Five chose to file a lawsuit due to the emotional and physical harm resulting from the plane crash. However, their focus shifted towards suing the hospital instead. They reasoned that since they were injured during a work trip on a obviously unsafe plane, the hospital bore responsibility for their distress. However, many fans, including myself, feel this was not the appropriate course of action. If blame is to be assigned, it should fall on Bayview Aeronautics for failing to inspect their own aircraft before flight. For dramatic effect, the hospital became the scapegoat, but this decision led the team to eventually take ownership of the hospital and alter the series trajectory. Yet I couldn't help but question whether this was a move they would genuinely make. And this brings me to my next point regarding the ludicrous situation surrounding the insurance company. The Seattle Five won without a fight. Grey's Anatomy's plane crash storyline raises a lot of questions. When the Seattle Five unanimously decided to take legal action against the hospital, they were taken aback by how promptly the court sided with them. Every one of the victims was awarded a $15 million settlement for the harm inflicted upon them. While some might have been overjoyed by this verdict, the group expressed reservations about receiving what they deemed as tainted money. However, their initial hesitation soon turned into anger when the insurance firms declined to disperse the funds. This isn't really surprising, considering that getting insurance to pay out is usually as challenging as pulling teeth. With a total of $15 million each at stake, it was inevitable that the insurance companies would put up a fierce battle to avoid having to make the payment. Although their case was among the most bizarre ones I've encountered, the insurance company refused to pay them. This was despite the severe consequences the doctors would face in terms of therapy, both emotional and physical, following the accident. And the reason given by the insurance company was that the doctors had breached the safety guidelines established by Bayview Aeronautics, making them responsible for the airplane crash. First off, let's clear up any misconceptions about safety regulations being the real reason for not compensating. This rule, which seemed like a feeble justification for not paying out, was actually a disguise for something else, specifically cramming 6 passengers onto a plane designed to carry only 2 granted, the aircraft might have been compact, but it's highly improbable that the few extra passengers would cause it to crash. More plausible explanation for this rule is fuel conservation, as additional weight on a small plane can significantly impact its range before needing refueling. In my opinion, if I were in their shoes, being told that the hardship, suffering, and injuries inflicted upon me were all my own fault, would have been incredibly frustrating. Poor logic nearly denied the Grey Sloan Memorial doctors their due. And so, you know, Grey's Anatomy didn't assign blame.
Right. Correctly.
Consider the situation, which is the insurance company pointed fingers at the passengers on board the plane that eventually crashed. Instead of scrutinizing Bayview Aviation, which emerged unscathed without any financial loss, the insurance company, like doctors, zeroed in on the wrong culprit. It seems there might have been some strange form of retribution at play, but I believe they would have been more effective by investigating how a company like Bayview Aviation could permit such an incident. I mean, to be clear, I'm no aviation expert, but let me break it down in simpler terms for you. Really, in a twist of events, reminiscent of a suspenseful movie plot. Let me rephrase it in first person. I went to see a film, but instead of being captivated by the action on screen, I found myself entangled in a real-life drama. The popcorn vendor accidentally spilled hot kernels on me, yet somehow My friend who recommended the theater gets blamed for the mishap. This is strikingly similar to what transpired with the doctors, right? Instead of laying blame where it truly belongs on Bayview Aeronautics, who played a pivotal role in this narrative and yet remained largely unnoticed, the focus was squarely on the survivors and the insurance company that refused to settle the claim. Um, in essence, Bayview Aeronautics was the real antagonist of this tale. Yet, it failed to make its presence felt. It was disappointing indeed, given that Grey's Anatomy genuinely incorporated this as a significant plot point. Watching the characters fail to recognize the apparent culprit felt somewhat disrespectful, especially since it led to the demise of two beloved characters. I can't help but fantasize about a scenario where they revisit this storyline and acknowledge that they pursued the wrong individual all those years ago, or perhaps introduce another Bayview Aeronautics related issue for the doctors to resolve. Ultimately, it's frustrating for me and many fans that the doctors were denied the opportunity to seek justice against those truly responsible